requires money. I'd like to just travel around the world.
Then travel around the world.
I'd like to...
Then travel around the world.
Yeah, but how do I do that?
How do you do that?
Yes.
Like I said, you need to exercise more imagination as to what you're defining as a resource. May I give you an example?
Sure.
We use this quite often because it is a real physical world example of someone who is exactly in the same situation that you're describing. And because this is actually a person living on your planet, you will know I'm not just making up a fairy tale. This is something that actually can work in your reality. So take a lesson from this. There is a woman who's a fine, fantastic photographer. That is her passion. Her greatest excitement was the idea of going all around your planet and photographing what you call the sacred sites. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
All right. She had no money, which is one of the things that many people on your planet consider to be a necessary resource to do certain things. She did not allow her definitions to stop her. She allowed herself to stay in the vibration she preferred instead of succumbing to a fearful frequency. And by staying in the appropriate vibration of her preference, she was able to imagine, she was able to receive inspiration for how she could live her dream without necessarily having the resources that in the past she might have thought was necessary. And before I continue, therein lies the first important point. You cannot perceive what you're not the vibration of. If you don't stay in your preferred vibration, you will not be capable of receiving information or opportunities to show you how you might be able to continue. They will be invisible to you. Those doors will be closed to you if you don't stay in the vibration where they're open. So if you're afraid that you have no resources, if you're afraid you've lost the resources you need to continue doing what excites you, that fear in and of itself will actually make you incapable of receiving inspiration from your higher mind through your imagination that would allow you to do what you need to do. Do you understand that principle before we continue?
Yes.
All right. So to continue the story, the idea is that because she stayed in that state, she received an inspiration. Now, the next thing that many people on your planet would have said had she told them what she was inspired to do would be to have told her to her face that she was crazy, out of her mind, impossible, that would never work. Everyone knows you can't do it that way. That was not her vibration. She didn't pay attention to those things. Those were not her definitions of reality. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with being crazy. In fact, you might need a little bit more of it. So the idea then is that she received an inspiration. This is what she said. I will go to the airlines and I will ask them to fly me all around the world for free so that I may take these wonderful photographs of these sacred sites. That is my passion. Simple. She did it. But because she was inspired, she added one more piece to that and said, if you will fly me all over the world for free to these sacred sites, the beautiful, gorgeous, glorious photos I will take of these sites, you may also use for your travel brochures to entice more tourists to these places. So there was a fair exchange of energy. Very important in any agreement. Fair exchange. They said, not surprisingly, absolutely, great idea. Not only thus then did they fly her all over the world for free to take photos of the sacred sites, they paid her to do it, fed her to do it, put her up in the best hotels. She lived her dream like a queen, didn't spend a dime. The point being, unless you stay in the vibration of your preference, you will never be inspired to take the steps that would actually show you that such things are actually not only possible, probable, but highly likely when you stay in the appropriate frequency. Do you understand the moral of the story?
Yes. Yes.
Does this inspire you?
Does, yes.
Do you believe that this principle will work for you as well as it worked for her?
Well, you know, I'm...
Do you believe the principle will work for you as well as it worked for her?
I believe it can, but I think that I've been...
So the answer is no. Now, let me stop you there. I want you to understand something very paradoxically important here. In some senses, I know, I can see, I can read, some aspect of your being thinks that to answer you're not sure about that, you think that's actually humble. It's incredibly arrogant. It's incredibly arrogant to stand there and say that a principle of creation that works for everyone can't work for just you. You're singling yourself out of all of creation, that you're the only one for whom that idea doesn't work. That's incredibly arrogant. And I know you don't want to be that way. And I know you didn't think you were being that way. But the idea is that the paradox is that while many of you think you're being humble and saying, oh, no, I don't deserve that. That won't work for me. That is an incredible place of arrogance. All you need to do is understand that this is the way creation is structured. This mechanism works whether you think it does or not. In fact, it's working for you all the time anyway, because whatever it is you're putting out is what you're getting back. It's just that what you're getting back is a result of what you're putting out. The uncertainty you're putting out is what you're getting back. Uncertain situations. And that's why you feel that, in a sense, you're kind of at an impasse and don't know what to do. Because that's what you're putting out. Impassive vibrations.
Well, isn't it not true that sometimes you have to wait? Things don't just automatically appear.
It is true that there is, to some degree, the experience of what you would call a time lag within the idea of manifestation to allow you the experience of process that will enrich your appreciation of what it is you do ultimately manifest. But nevertheless, that doesn't mean that in any way, shape, or form, the so-called time lag or process needs to be any less a part of what is representative of your joy. In other words, you're not waiting for something to happen. Time lags don't mean you're waiting. Time lags just mean there's another part of your excitement going on that you're not really paying attention to or defining as part of your excitement. And because you're not defining the waiting period as part of your excitement, you experience it as a time lag, as a waiting period, instead of another exciting chapter in your story before something else exciting happens.
Well, that's true, you know. I mean, I have been sort of having somewhat of a good time.
Oh, somewhat.
While I'm waiting, but
somewhat.
That wait...
Oh, but it can't compare to what's about to happen that I'm waiting for. But you see, the whole thing is that you're waiting. That's the energy you don't prefer. Don't wait. Understand that whatever it is you're experiencing can be experienced as a part of your excitement, as a part of that excitement. It's a stepping stone in that excitement. It's a piece of that excitement. It's not, in that sense, apart from it. It's not just something to get you there. It is, in and of itself, an expression of your overall excitement. Use your curiosity and your imagination to figure out how that can be so. And you will experience this particular time frame as exciting as anything. And you will not be waiting for something better to happen. And then when you stop waiting for something better to happen, it happens. Because you're no longer waiting for it to happen. You've taken the waiting out of the equation by loving whatever's going on so much that you collapse and compress time, and before you know it, something else is happening, and something else is happening, and something else is happening, and something else is happening. There's no waiting in excitement. Do you understand? There's no waiting in your excitement. Excitement does not contain the component of waiting. There may be other experiences between this experience and that one, but if all experiences in your excitement are equal, then you're not waiting for any one particular one to come before any other, because they're all so exciting that it doesn't matter what's happening. So you're never waiting. Make sense?
Yes.
Can you let that sink in?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I am.
All right. So this will work for you then, yes?
Yes, it will.
Because it does work for you already, doesn't it?